London in the 1600s was huge, with almost 500,000 people. Streets were crowded, houses close together, and life moved fast. Smoke rose from chimneys, and the Thames carried many boats. The city was busy, noisy, and full of energy. Old London Bridge was like a whole neighborhood. People lived in houses above the busy street. Shops and warehouses lined the bridge. Boats struggled through narrow arches, and fire was always a danger. But life went on for generations. The Thames was London's main highway. Boats carried grain, timber, coal, and cloth. Workers shouted as they loaded cargo. The bridge connected local life to trade across England and Europe. In very cold winters, the Thames sometimes froze under the bridge. People walked on ice, children played, and merchants sold goods. But the river was usually dangerous. Life on the bridge went on, even in winter. Here is the northern entrance to Old London Bridge, near St. Magnus Church. People walked across while carts and horses moved below. Boats passed under the arches. The bridge felt like a busy neighborhood, full of shops, houses, and life. Fire was always a danger on Old London Bridge. People lived close together, and the wooden houses made it risky. Carts and horses moved below while boats struggled under the arches. Life was busy, crowded, and never stopped. The Thames carried goods for all of London: grain, coal, timber, cloth. Workers shouted as they loaded cargo onto boats. The river was busy and sometimes dangerous, but trade never stopped. The bridge connected local life to the world beyond. In very cold winters, the Thames sometimes froze. People could walk on the ice. Children played, and merchants sold goods. Boats struggled under the arches, but life went on. Even winter didn't stop the bridge from being busy. This is the northern entrance to Old London Bridge near St. Magnus Church. People crossed while carts and horses moved below. Boats passed under the arches. The bridge felt alive, full of shops, houses, and people for generations. Buckingham House was a private home on the edge of London. Surrounded by gardens and open land, it stood far from the crowded city. This peaceful place reminded people that London's limits were still visible, even as the city grew. In September 1666, a fire started in a small street of London. It quickly spread through the timber houses. People ran and shouted, trying to save what they could. The fire soon became unstoppable, threatening the whole city. The fire reached Old St. Paul's Cathedral. Flames rose high into the sky. People ran, trying to save themselves and their belongings. London looked like a wall of fire, and the city was in chaos. The fire spread across the city, reaching the river. Tower of London barely escaped. People watched in fear and tried to help, but the flames kept moving. London's streets and buildings were turning to ash. The Tower of London stood at the center of royal power. It was a fortress, prison, and treasury. High-profile prisoners were held here, and the crown jewels kept inside. The tower was a symbol of authority for everyone in London. Cheapside was a ceremonial street in London. In 1638, people gathered for Queen Henrietta Maria's visit. Soldiers, officials, and citizens watched the procession. The street was crowded, decorated, and full of tension as religion and politics divided the city. Westminster was the heart of England's power. Parliament and the King fought for control. Westminster Hall hosted courts and public gatherings. Westminster Abbey stood as a spiritual center. The river brought politicians, clergy, and citizens right to the doors of power. The Westminster stairs were busy. People arrived by boat, carrying goods or messages. Soldiers and merchants moved through the crowds. The river was London's main route, taking everyone directly to the city's centers of power. Whitehall Palace was England's largest royal residence. Kings and courtiers arrived by boat. The palace stretched along the river, with halls and chambers for government. It was the center of royal life and power. Inside Whitehall, courtiers and servants worked and moved about the grand halls. The palace was full of life, with officials, guards, and staff attending to daily royal duties. It was the heart of the Stuart court. Richmond Palace was a royal retreat outside London. Elizabeth I spent her final days here. The palace had gardens and open land, offering clean air and space away from the crowded city. The palace grounds had gardens, pathways, and small buildings. Servants worked while courtiers strolled. The river flowed nearby, and the open land gave the palace a peaceful, spacious feel. Life here was calm and quiet compared to London. The Great Fire of London started in a small street and quickly spread. People ran to save what they could. The flames moved fast, devouring timber houses, and the city was in chaos. The fire spread to the riverfront. Flames reflected on the Thames as people tried to save belongings. Boats struggled, smoke filled the sky, and the city looked like it was being consumed by fire. The fire reached Old St. Paul's Cathedral. Flames rose high, threatening this massive landmark. People ran to escape, trying to save what they could. The city was burning around one of its greatest buildings. The Tower of London stood as a fortress, prison, and treasury. High-profile prisoners were held here. Soldiers guarded the gates, and the crown jewels were kept safe inside. The tower was a symbol of royal power and authority. Cheapside was a ceremonial street in London. People gathered to watch the royal procession. Soldiers, officials, and citizens filled the streets. The city was crowded and full of tension because of religion and politics. The Cheapside Cross was a familiar landmark. People gathered here to watch ceremonies and processions. Soldiers and officials maintained order. It was a busy and important street in London life. Westminster Abbey was England's spiritual heart. Kings and queens were crowned or buried here. Clergy and citizens visited regularly. It was a place of tradition even during times of political unrest. Westminster Hall hosted important trials and public gatherings. Lawyers, officials, and guards moved through the Grand Hall. Citizens watched events unfold. It was a place where law and royal authority came together. Whitehall's banqueting hall was full of life. Courtiers and servants worked while meals were served. Guards maintained order, and ceremonies continued. The palace was always busy with royal activity. The Tower of London held prisoners accused of treason. Guards patrolled the halls, and the crown jewels were kept safe inside. It was a place of both punishment and royal authority. Buckingham House had beautiful gardens. Servants worked while courtiers walked and children played. The open land gave a calm, peaceful feel far from the crowded city. The Great Fire spread through London's streets. People ran to save their belongings. Flames moved quickly, consuming houses. The city was filled with smoke and panic. The fire reflected in the Thames. Boats struggled to move, and people tried to save belongings. Smoke filled the sky, and the city seemed to be burning everywhere. The Tower of London was heavily guarded. Soldiers watched the gates, and citizens gathered outside. The tower was a symbol of power and safety, keeping the crown jewels and prisoners secure. Richmond Palace was a calm retreat for royalty. Courtiers walked in gardens, and servants worked the land. The river nearby added peace. It was a quiet escape from the busy city. Cheapside was busy with a royal visit. Soldiers, officials, and citizens filled the streets. Crowds watched the procession. The city's busy life mixed with ceremony and tension. Westminster Abbey hosted coronations and royal ceremonies. Clergy prepared inside while citizens watched from outside. It was the spiritual heart of the nation and a place of tradition. Whitehall Palace was busy with royal work. Officials wrote documents, courtiers moved through halls, and servants served. It was the center of government and royal decision-making. Looking back at London in the 1600s, it's amazing how alive the city was. Streets, bridges, palaces, and the river shaped everyday life. These scenes show a world long past, yet still close to our imagination.